morning everyone, welcome back to my channel and to another week. I hope you're all doing well. So this week is the last week before the Christmas holidays start, the last week before the children break up from school, and I feel like I have quite a lot to get done, but all nice things, so that's always good. So you will have seen from yesterday's video that we woke up to a blanket of snow yesterday morning, which was so lovely. We haven't had snow here for a little while now, a good couple of years I think. It always causes a little bit of excitement everywhere when we get snow, doesn't it? So we had a really lovely cold snowy walk to school yesterday, and our field opposite us where we always walk the dog just looks so pretty when it's icy or snowy or anything, so I just put a little bit of footage of that in there as well to show you. I think we're so lucky to have that field here. We were actually planning to move a couple of years ago, but then it all fell through because of COVID and everything, and we've decided not to move now. That's a very long story, but anyway, I think one of the things that I probably would have missed the most about living where we do is that field, because it's so good for walking the dogs, and I feel like it's just really nice to walk through it in all seasons of the year and just see how it changes and everything. So before I just get into a little catch up of where I'm at with all of my crafty Christmas things, I just wanted to welcome you to my channel if you're new. Hi, I'm Sally. This is my channel Secret Life of a Seamstress, where I talk all about sewing, sometimes knitting and crochet and other crafts as well, but mainly all about sewing and dressmaking. If you're new and you haven't yet subscribed, I'd love you to consider subscribing, and thank you always, of course, if you're joining me again and you are a regular viewer. So you will have seen from my bit of video footage from yesterday that my plans were cancelled yesterday because of the snow. On a Monday I've started to go up and visit my granddad a bit more regularly and help him out a bit, but he does live in the next town away from us and it's about 40 minutes away, 40-minute drive. So he said not to come because of the weather and everything, and to be honest I didn't really fancy driving out in the icy snowy roads. So I ended up staying home, and I thought I would use the time to my advantage and sew up a dress. So this is a dress that I wasn't necessarily planning to sew, but over the weekend I managed to get 2 projects cut out. I don't know what happened to me this weekend. I'm not really a batch cutter at all, but I just really felt like getting some things cut out. So I cut out my next dress, and I also cut out another dress, which as I say, I wasn't planning to make, because I had some fabric, which you'll probably remember if you've watched my channel recently. It's an atelier dupe fabric. It's a black and red floral, which I'll show you in a minute, but it has a really pretty glittery sort of fleck running through it, and I looked at it the other day and thought that fabric looks so Christmassy. It will be a real shame if I don't get anything sewn up in that before Christmas time. So with my free day yesterday and over the weekend I cut out a second dress, and yesterday I managed to get the majority of it sewn up. So this was the dress that I decided to cut out. It's the Taker blouse dress by Named Clothing. I made this up in the summer and I absolutely loved it. And I thought I would make another version of this in that atelier dupe fabric. I was originally going to use that fabric to make another Tildy shirt dress, but I changed my mind last minute and thought I would have a go at this dress again. I've only ever made it once, and as I say, I did really love it, so I decided to use the fabric to make another version of this. But because it's winter time, I decided to make it with longer sleeves. So hopefully you can see from the pattern here, and if not, then I'll pop in a little image as well, because I know it does get quite bright because I'm sitting by the window. The normal sleeves are quite short and they have this really cute elasticated cuff detail, quite a puffy gathered bottom of the sleeve, which is really pretty. But I thought that might be quite chilly to wear in the winter time, so I thought I would just extend it down to a full length sleeve and have it finish at my wrist, which was actually really nice and easy to do because the sleeve piece of the pattern is really quite straight. So all I did was just measure the length of my arm and then add it on to the length of this sleeve. The sleeve itself has an 8.5 centimetre cuff at the bottom, and that's what you use for the elastic channel, and that's what gives you the bit of extra gathering at the bottom of the sleeve. So you need to make sure that you also add on that bit if you do want the gathering at the bottom of the sleeve. So that was a nice easy change to make. So yesterday I did spend a good few hours sewing after I'd done all of the other jobs that I needed to do at home, and I managed to get, as I say, the majority of this dress finished, and here it is. So I'm really pleased with how this turned out. It's a really nice sew and it actually comes together really quickly. So the dress itself is made up of lots of different panels, so you'll never be able to see probably in this busy dark fabric. But the back has, this is the back bodice and it curves like this, and then there's some gathering here, and then the bottom part of the skirt is made from 3 different panels. And then the front of the dress has quite a high empire bust line here, and this is gathered here. And then the 2 front parts are also made from 2 separate panels, which makes it just flare out really nicely and gives it a really nice shape. And then here are my longer gathered sleeves. So I forgot to mention actually that I didn't go for the full 8.5 centimetre frill at the bottom. I reduced it slightly to be 5.5 centimetres, just because I didn't want too much extra fabric at the wrist. I thought it might look a little bit too flouncy at the wrist area, so I just reduced that slightly, and that worked really nicely. So all I've got to do with this now is actually just add some buttons, because I was completely out of any buttons that would match this fabric. So I had to do a quick dash to Hobbycraft this morning actually, just to pick up some black buttons. So this is what I went for. They're just plain buttons. There are a lot of buttons to this dress. You actually need to make 9 buttonholes, which was also another reason why I just couldn't be bothered to do it yesterday. I put it off until today, but I didn't have any buttons anyway, so it all worked out for the best. So yeah, just need to add the buttons to that one and then it will be done. So as well as cutting out that extra dress, I also managed to cut out my Nick's dress. And that's all cut out here in a pile. I cut that out all at the weekend as well, so that's all ready to go at some point. And then the other thing that I managed to get finished this weekend was my reindeer. Well, I say he's finished, he's not quite finished actually. The body of him and everything is done, but I still need to make his little clothes. So you can see from this one, oh, I also need to make the antlers as well. I've got a bit of a brown fabric problem, and I meant to look for brown fabric at Hobbycrafts and I completely forgot. So I need to make his antlers with a brown fabric, whatever fabric I end up finding. So if I hold them together, you can see that the female deer has a normal black nose, and then the Rudolph deer has a little red nose, so he looks more like Rudolph. So I also really would like to get him finished this week as well. And while I was in Hobbycraft, I just picked up this little bundle of fat quarter tartan fabrics, and I thought they would be really cute to use for the reindeer's clothes. So in terms of sewing this week, I think I'm going to try and fit in bits and pieces of my Nick's dress this week, and I also want to get those clothes done for the reindeer, but obviously because it's the last week of term, I also need to get some Christmassy jobs done as well, like wrapping up presents and trying to get the house a little bit clean and ready for the Christmas holidays before all manner of chaos descends. Just realised actually that I forgot to share what I'm wearing today. So today is another really cold day. It was about -5 when we went out this morning. So I decided to wear this sweater, which is a hand knitted sweater, which I haven't really worn that much, if I'm honest. So this is the Cara sweater by We Are Knitters. It was another knitting kit that I had from them, and it's knitted with a yarn that is called the Wave wool, or a wool that's called the Wave wool. And it's a kind of wool that's thick in some parts and then thin in other parts. So even though this is knitted in just a garter stitch, it gives it quite a lot of texture, which is really nice, and it's nice and warm and cozy and fluffy. The only thing I need to watch with it is that the V is really quite low. So it does sometimes want to kind of flop forward if I'm leaning forward, and I have a vest on with it today, which is also V-neck, so I just need to be a little bit careful with it. I do really like this actually, now that I've got it out today and worn it again. I really like the colour of it and everything, so I must make sure that I wear this one. Later, I finally managed to get all the buttons done on my dress, so that's finished now, and I'm really quite pleased with it actually. I think if I'm being really picky with it, I could have done with another inch or so length, just because the sort of gap between boot and dress is a little bit larger than I would like, but I'm very fussy about those things. Yeah, I'm really happy with how that turned out with the long sleeves actually. Yeah, it really worked nicely. So I'm pleased that's done. My hands are really cold actually because it's so cold outside. I was really struggling to kind of sew the buttons on. My hands are so cold. I felt like they wouldn't work properly. But anyway, it's done now. So I thought I'd quickly share with you a little reading update because I haven't talked about books for a while, but I finally finished The Rose Code by Kate Quinn, I think it is. I'll pop an image in here because I have been reading it on my Kindle. So I've been reading this book for so long. It is a long one, it's about 600 odd pages. I think I started it back in September time. So yeah, it has been a long one, but it was really good and really interesting. I found it a little bit hard going towards the end, but I think it's just because I've been reading it for so long and just reading it at really short intervals. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really interesting to learn a little bit more about Bletchley Park, which is so near to me, and all the work that was done in the wartime there. So I would highly recommend that one. And then I've moved on to a different book now, and it's this one, which I just picked up from a garden centre. I just really fancied reading a nice, easy to read Christmassy book. And we were in the garden centre one day and they have some really good sort of easy to read books in there, and I saw this one and just picked it up. It's by, got the sticker over it, it's by Lulu Taylor and it's called A Midwinter Promise. And it's one of the kind of books that I like where it kind of flits between past and present, and it's set in Cornwall and I love Cornwall, and it's just about sort of family history and things like that, and it's got a little bit of a Christmas underlying theme as well, so I think this one will be a really nice one to read over Christmas time. I've started it already, I'm about 4 chapters in, I'm finding it really nice and easy to read, so I tend to read about a chapter at bedtime before I go to sleep, but we're going to bed so late at the moment, I'm just so tired that I haven't really been reading very much at all. But yeah, I think when we all break up from school and work and everything, it'll be a nice one to read over Christmas time, so I thought I would just share that too. It's now Wednesday and I just thought I'd pop on quickly before I go to Pilates this morning to show you where I've got to with my next dress. So last night I did another hour or so of sewing in the evening, which is very unlike me, but I'm committed to getting this dress done. This is where I got to. So this is such a really pretty dress and I'm really enjoying sewing it up. So I've done most of the bodice now. So you would have seen yesterday, I think, from the bit of video clip that I'd done my rouleau loops down the front there, which were really nice and delicate to do, a little bit fiddly, but I quite like all the delicate little parts of this dress. It's got lots of lovely details to it. So then you've got a shoulder yoke here with a bit of gather to it, and then the back is on a yoke as well with quite a lot of gather there too. So there was the burrito method to do last night, which I'm finding so satisfying to do actually. It's always a little bit of a fiddle to do, isn't it? But I think it gives such a lovely finish. So inside you can see it's all nice and lined. So I'm all set up today. I've set up all the machines and the ironing boards and everything so that when I'm in and out and doing other things, I can just grab a little bit of sewing time here and there. So next I need to do the sleeves, and the sleeves are really quite big and they have these pleats at the bottom. So I've just spent a little bit of head scratching time trying to get my head around which way the pleats are supposed to go in terms of where the sleeves go back to front, if that makes sense. It's really hard with this fabric. This fabric's lovely. It's really smooth and soft and drapey. It's a lovely viscose, but it's got no obvious wrong and right side. So I'm really struggling to make sure that I get the pleats and everything done on the right side of the sleeves, and my brain just doesn't work very well with things like that. I'm not very good with opposites and things like that. So I'm hoping to get the sleeves done at least later today, but we shall see. Welcome back. It's now Friday, last day of term, yay! So this week has gone so fast. Yesterday ended up being such a busy day, but it was a really nice one. So I spent most of the morning wrapping presents. That always takes so much longer than I prepare for. So yeah, that was my morning yesterday, and then in the afternoon I went over to our Abbey in the village to watch my daughter's Christmas concert, her school Christmas concert, which was so lovely and a little bit emotional because it's her last one at that school. Next year she's going to be in high school, which I can hardly believe. And they always do the concert in the Abbey, which is so pretty, and they always decorate it really nicely for Christmas. Obviously I can't put any video footage in here or anything because we're not allowed to, but I will put in a photo of the church because it looked so lovely yesterday in all the snow and everything. We're really lucky to have that church. Sometimes you don't really appreciate where you live, do you? But yeah, in the older part of our village, it's just so pretty. We have this beautiful Abbey church, which you just kind of take for granted really, but it did look really lovely in all the snow and frost. So that was yesterday. So I didn't get any sewing time in the day, but then in the evening I decided to have a quick go at my reindeer clothes, which you would have seen, and I managed to get him finished. So here he is, all decked out in his little Christmassy suit. And this was such a fun little project. Again, the instructions were amazing and the pattern is really lovely. So this was using the tartan or the plaid fat quarters that I got from Hobbycraft, and then I just had a little hunt around in my stash upstairs and saw what other fabrics I had that were kind of Christmassy that would go with this. I did really want a green actually, but I didn't have any green, so I went for this kind of beige colour which has some red dots on as well. I've just opened his little waistcoat. So the waistcoat inside is all lined and everything, and just does up with a bit of Velcro, and then you press these parts of the collar open so that you can see the insides. And then in the end, for his little antlers, I decided to just use some brown felt that I already had in my stash, and that worked well. I was a bit worried actually that it was going to be a bit too thick to turn through and everything, but got there in the end. So I'm really pleased that I managed to finish him off. Highly recommend these patterns. I know I've been going on about them a bit, but they really are just such lovely projects, and if you're having a bit of a sewing slump or you need to get your sojo back or anything like that, I just really recommend making some of these or making a little toy, because yeah, just such a lovely project to sew, and making these little miniature clothes was really fun as well. So that's him all done. And then the other project I managed to get finished on Wednesday night, I worked really hard on this in the evening to get this finished, was my Nick's dress. So that's all done now. I'll show you like this as best as I can. So this is such a lovely dress. I really enjoyed sewing this. There's such lovely details in this make. There's a lot of gathering, so if you're not a fan of gathering, probably not the dress for you. But yeah, I really enjoyed sewing all the different parts of this dress. I love doing the yoke and the little rouleau loops, and you can see that I've made these self-covered buttons now. So I just sat yesterday and did those. I hand sewed them obviously, because that's how you do the self-covered buttons. So I prepared them all and everything, and then I just sat on the sofa and did those last night and then sewed them on. Yeah, I'm so pleased with this, and I love this fabric. I highly recommend this viscose fabric actually from Minerva. It's just lovely, really soft and really drapey, and it feels a little bit brushed, so hopefully it will be reasonably warm to wear over Christmas time. I'll try and get a couple of photos of this actually and pop them in so that you can see it on. I was making this up quite quickly obviously because I wanted to get it done this week, but I think it's a really good one to take your time over. I did slow down and make sure that I concentrated on all the little details involved in this, but obviously I was trying to get it made quicker than I maybe normally would. It is one that you can really savour the details on. So there's the back yoke with a burrito method, elasticated waist, and then 2 tiers. So yeah, super pleased that I managed to get that finished as well. So I just wanted to say that this isn't a normal week for me sewing wise. I wouldn't normally try and cram as much sewing as this into a week, but typical me, I kind of left everything until the last minute and then added to what I wanted to do as well. With my red dress, I always seem to do that. I can't be organised enough to do it early. It's just obviously not the way that my brain works. So I have done more sewing this week than I would normally do. But I think that's me done for sewing now up until Christmas time. I think I'm going to put the sewing machine away and have a break. I think it's always good to do that actually, or for me it is anyway. I think if I have a break over our holiday times and just don't do any sewing, I kind of come back to it feeling fresh and with a clear head of what I want to make next. So I think that brings me to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'd love you to consider subscribing. You can also follow me over on Instagram as well, and I'm at Secret Life of a Seamstress over there, and I'll pop the details here and below as well. This will be my last video of 2022, so I just wanted to say a huge thank you for supporting my channel this year. If you watch my videos, if you've subscribed, if you like and comment and everything else, I really am so very grateful. Take care everyone, and have a wonderful Christmas time, and I'll really look forward to seeing you all in the new year. Really excited for the new year and new videos to come, and I hope you will have a really restful Christmas break if you can do, and yeah, just enjoy everything that comes with Christmas time and the holiday period, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the new year. Bye.